Okay, so I'm going to start. My name's Kim, I'm from the Career Development Service. Matt from the Lesson Learning Institute, and also Rajendra, our colleague from the Career Service, might chip in. If we've got time for questions, we'll all kind of chip in on that. So this is a real collaborative effort. We work with Guy Barefoot in the School of History, Art and Film. Unfortunately, he can't be here today, but if you do have any questions about the module, do feel free to get in touch with him. So it's been a bit of a journey. I'll just talk you through kind of the context of how it all works and how it originally came together, first of all. So in 2012, Guy came to us with an idea for a module that would really emulate some kind of business case where the students would be working on a real life project. And we kind of developed this module whereby students plan a mock film and art event or a festival. And so it took a year or so to get going, to work up all the resources, and it ran for the first time in 2013 to 14. And then it's ran in its second year, and it's improved greatly. So this year we actually had a close connection with Embrace Arts, so that we took the students down there so they could have a look round, and then we said to them, you're going to run your film and art event in this facility, but it's all mock, so they don't actually run it, they just plan it. And then they have to put together a pitch in order to pitch for funding and say why they would run their event and present it to us, which they get assessed on. And they also have to create a website, which Matt's going to talk to you a little bit more about in a moment, which is part of their assessment as well, to promote the event. So the students went down to Embrace Arts, and then they presented their final pitches there as well, and we had Sam who helps run the centre there on the panel as well. So we've got a real good mix of people working on the module and other industry experts. So we've had Lorraine Porter, who works at De Montfort, who's got 15 years experience in curating and staging film festivals, and ran Broadway in Nottingham for 15 years. So she's got great experience, comes in and does a guest lecture so the students can think about where they get funding from, how these events are marketed, and really get some inspiration and ideas. And we also had Jake Harvey, who's the Director of Programming at Phoenix, come in for a guest lecture. And we had some teachers come in and talk to the students about teaching as a career possibility as well. So they get to explore a number of different career paths, but also then practice those real life transferable skills and putting that project together in groups. So just to talk you through how it works, myself, so the Career Service will come in and do something at the beginning around career planning, transferable skills, why is this module important, why are we doing it, and this is some of the material that we actually use in the first session. Then they have a series of lectures, so that's obviously delivered by their department on a series of film and art themes. And then they have skills sessions. So Rajendra runs some skills sessions on pitching and proposals, so she works in our enterprise team in the department, so great expertise and knowledge there. And then Matt comes in and does some skills sessions on how to create a website. Then at the end, we come back in and help them on that reflection piece, which we find is so important. When you're thinking about teaching, if you are thinking about teaching a transferable skill in a module, the students need to be able to practice it to be assessed, and then to be able to reflect on what they've learned. So in that final session, we talk about what would you do differently next time, what went well, what didn't go well, and they can air all their frustrations, but also think about how they could improve for next time. I don't think I mentioned, this is a first year module, so it's really important that they kind of get to grips with that team working aspect at the beginning of their course, we think. Then the way that it's assessed, just to give you the breakdown, so they work in groups to develop their proposal and their website, so that's the group work, 40% for the website and 20% for the proposal, and then they have an individual piece of work as well. So this year that was an essay that was a public lecture that the students would pick one part of the event that they'd put together, so that might be a particular piece of art or a particular film, and they would have to write a public lecture explaining that to a visitor that might come to the gallery or the festival. Transferable skills, so hopefully you're all familiar with this. So when we first put this module together, we thought about which transferable skills we'd really want to focus on, because you can't focus on all of them. And so we picked these three. So obviously they're working in teams, they're working on the digital skills, producing the website, and are planning an organising event. So it does what it says on the tin, really. But we have had some challenges around perhaps maybe we're assessing too many skills. We should maybe focus down on 1, and we've kind of learnt that over the years, and Matt will talk to you a little bit more about that. And finally, I just wanted to show you, this is a job description that we show the students. We show them multiple job descriptions in the first session and just point out to them that actually this is very applicable if you're going to go and work in the arts sector. You're going to be drafting press releases, you're going to be writing media alerts. You're doing that on the module. You're going to have to manage a budget. You're doing that on the module because you've got to put that into your proposal, etc. And then at the end here, points out to them all the different skills that they're going to be learning. And look, on the job description, it's saying we need someone that's highly organised, managing a heavy workload and multiple projects. So obviously, students can develop that in their extracurricular experience as well, but we really want to foster that within the curriculum at the same time. Okay, I'm going to Matt.
So, as Kim said, so one of the pieces of assessment that we do is getting them to develop a website. So the reason we want to do this, we want to design something a bit more authentic in terms of assessment. So when they're planning the event, coming up with an outcome that they would have to do if they were to run a real event. So this is just a screenshot of one of the submissions from this year. So as you can see, that they have to collaborate together and come up with the sort of thing you would expect to have on an event website. And in order to build these, I actually get the students to develop them all on Google Sites. And so the reason we chose Google Sites on here, so this is that website here, and it's all powered by Google. The reason we do this is it enables collaborative development within a website environment. So what the students will do, one of them takes ownership, creates it, invites them all in, and then they can then co-author and design the site between them. Some of the, I'll show you another example. So this is another outcome of the assessment. But the beauty of using the Google template, it doesn't use overly sophisticated digital skills. It's all very well templated, and they can, as you see, change styles and backgrounds, and they create the text and get some practice around using digital images, etc. online. Plus also we teach them things around accessibility, screen-based reading, and how to design things for web purposes, which is probably something they may use in the future. So just to think a bit more about some of the challenges we've actually faced when we've been delivering this module. First of all, it's, as Kim mentioned, it's a first year module, and there is always this resistance to them understanding, well, why am I doing this? And especially when it comes to different types of assessment at the end of the day, when they think, well, I can't just do an essay, and you're trying to get them to do websites and pitches. Kim's already mentioned the consideration of whether it's a 15 credit module at the moment. Is it a bit over-assessed for what it is? But then the main thing is this one-size-fits-all approach to like transferable skills development, and we see that in the polar opposites in the feedback that we get. So you can see for the website sessions, those who've experienced that before are very, very basic, and then others saying it's not enough to cover the basics. And same thing with Reginda's business session. It's incredibly patronising, but then at the end of the time, another student coming in and saying, gave a good overview and really helped me deliver a good speech at the end. So it's when you're trying to deliver these sort of skills. And then I suppose the other challenge with modules like this is the resourcing and the capacity and enabling departments to actually do it themselves. So as we all mentioned, I'm from the Leicester Learning Institute, Kim and Reginda from the Career Development Service, and we work with an academic. Now I couldn't go around every single module on campus and deliver the website training that we do for this. So we've got to think about how we can repackage, enable departments to start doing that themselves. So thinking about it then for next year, actually what we're going to do, as we said, is being over-assessed, so having talked about the website, we've actually decided to drop the website for next year. We might revisit that the year after, depending on whether it becomes a 15, sorry, it's currently a 20, but depending on whether it becomes a 15 or a 30 credit module. If it becomes a 30 credit, we'll probably reintroduce the website. But then, as I say, trying a more blended approach, especially to tackle that difference in the feedback, as say whether we can do more online delivery, which then, as say, we offer that sort of content, skills-based content, for students to do at their own pace, and then that will then also enable us to do it more broadly across the campus as well. And then another thing is just to add a bit more practice in the actual presentation skills that the students do throughout the course. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed. We are actually now at the end of the session, but we could ease into the comfort of 5 minutes.
Yeah, we do. We have a comfort 5-minute break.
If we want to leave by, can't So, questions, comments to any of our presenters, or but initially let's start with Matt, his colleagues. Okay.
Well, I've got a comment.
Yeah.
So I did a similar sort of thing, and I recognise the problem with student feedback on innovating assessments, but I did a wiki assessment, and the reason why I went for that rather than the website was this a group assessment or an individual assessment?
It's a group assessment, sorry. So the reason I chose the Google platform as well is because they can all come in and completely co-author it. And actually, as part of the assessment, when I'm marking the websites, I go in and I can see the editing history, so I can see who's done authored which pages and who's collaborated to it.
Exactly. My question that I was going to go on to, which was, how did you look to market? Because that's what I struggled with the wiki assessment, was whether you market sort of progressively according to who's contributed, or whether you market as a cohesive whole of the finished product and split it between the group members. So yeah.
No, so the Google tool is very good for that, because you can go in and say you can see the full edit history of each page, and you can see who's done which piece of authoring. Just as a quick backup as well, what we also have to do, because of course Google isn't a university tool, so I get them to develop it on Google, but at the same time we ask them to submit a Word version. So on the final assessment, get them to extract the text from the pages, submit through Turnitin, so I can check for the plagiarism. So I assess the visual side on the Google site, but do the assessment of the plagiarism, etc. on Turnitin.
I want to ask a bit more about employer engagement. You mentioned the Curve, but they seem to be working on film festivals or maybe theatre production or art. So, I mean, Phoenix and New York Gallery might be too, but how much are they involved in thinking about the development or revision of the module?
Yeah, so it was just Embrace Arts that we got involved this year. Yeah, but it's definitely something that I think we want to do more of in the future. So yeah, they've been involved in terms of like watching the presentations, helping us assess them. But because originally it wasn't designed with an employer, was it? So we didn't have their contribution at the kind of design level. But hopefully, when it's been revised over the summer, we'll kind of ask for opinions.
It might be worth thinking, especially if there's a bigger module. I know Lorraine at De Montfort runs effectively a module based at the Phoenix, and the students actually putting on a film festival and doing it for real. So I think we'll learn lots of skills, but it could be taken further, especially if it becomes a bigger part of the...
Again, it comes back to the resource issue in terms of like who would help run that. You know, if they're going to all go off and run an event for real, we don't have capacity to support that.
Sure.
Kind of large-scale projects, it would have to be something that the department or school really wanted to like invest in. So, yeah.
I think it's just kind of evolved over the time that we've been running it, and I suppose really in the way we will pilot it without the website this time around, but I think it's, you know, we're kind of really disappointed that that's going to happen. But I suppose really going forward, it's seeing what else is actually going to be useful in terms of making it more real as opposed to a mock. The other challenge we've got is that we're working second semester with first year students, and for them this is quite a challenge. So what you might need to look at potentially, if there was something then maybe that was a follow-on, perhaps further down the line in, you know, maybe second or third year.
There are quite a few saying feedback.
Yeah.
Oh, could we not do this in second year as like an option, or third year as an option? But obviously we want to develop those transferable skills with the mass of students, not just the few really keen ones. So that's the...
It might be worth talking to Museum Studies, because I think they probably do things that are simulated and then move on to actually doing real